Welcome to the club, 'cause you're that kind of nerd.
Hello and welcome to the club that is That Kind of Nerd, a show where we talk about the nerdy things that we're passionate about, but then we judge each other on what we bring to the table. I am your humble host this weekend, CJ Mellon, and I am joined by two fantastic people, Josh Burns and Brian Thornton.
What up?
As Abraham Lincoln once said, hi.
I can't dispute that. Can't dispute it at all.
No. He probably said that at some point.
Since we have relaunched the world's best nerdy podcast on planet Earth and in this galaxy, we have a new show format. At the end of every topic, or just during the topic, I, your host, will be judging the conversation and awarding points to my co-hosts. The winner at the end of this show will be the host for the next episode. Looking at what we're talking about this week, though, it looks like it's going to be a one-topic thing, right? It's not someone bringing a topic, but so much so, what are we going to do for this conversation? Because we're going to be talking about Disney's D23 announcements, because there are a slew of them. We got Marvel, we've got Disney, we've got Pixar, we've got Star Wars, we've got video games, whole bunch of stuff coming in, and some of this will have some spoilers to movies if you haven't seen them. So, if you're not caught up on Marvel and Disney stuff, what are you doing? Why are you listening to this show? Go watch some Disney Plus stuff, because you can just catch up with it right there. But I would like to start off the conversation with the hostess with the mostest. Brian, I want to know where you want to start, and what would you like to discuss first?
Wow. Okay. I think we can talk about Marvel and get it out of the way, because there's so much more than Marvel. But what I will say is, if you haven't seen D23, you can actually, if you have a Disney Plus membership, you can actually watch most of D23. They have it up on the Disney Plus. You can watch some of the presentations and stuff, which is really cool. But a lot of stuff dropped, and I remember when we were talking about Comic-Con, we were like, oh, well, if they were talking all about this all at Comic-Con, what are they going to do for D23? And they gave us a lot. So let's start there, and being as that's our wheelhouse, that's what we know and love. And I'm interested, when you look at kind of the list and some of the trailers that were dropped and some of the announcements that were given when it comes to Marvel, what are you guys most hyped for? What do you see that you're like, oh, this is awesome, I can't wait? What trailer did you enjoy the most? I'm interested in your opinions.
The thing that interested me the most, but I didn't get to see anything of it, and by the way, 5 points for letting me know that I can watch D23 on demand now, because now that's exactly what I'll be doing today. Is hearing a little bit about Ironheart and seeing Anthony Ramos of Hamilton fame and In the Heights fame will be coming to the MCU as the Hood. But that series is one that I'm kind of interested in to see where they take it. And I like the little blurb that they gave about it, that it's tech and magic do battle. And that sounds kind of cool, considering what we've got going on in the MCU right now, that we have people in space and we have mythical gods and creatures coming out through Thor, and kind of seeing that come into one little series sounds like it's going to be pretty damn exciting.
Yeah, that is the incorrect answer. That is not correct.
Wow. He asked what we thought, and I thought that was cool. I would love to see some footage or a trailer.
That is incorrect. That is not the correct answer to Brian's question.
What is the correct answer, Josh?
The only possible answer to your question is Secret Wars.
Secret Invasion.
Secret Invasion or Secret Wars?
Invasion.
You know what?
You.
-5 for calling me out and then putting in the wrong thing. So enjoy your smugness.
All right. So Secret Invasion is the series. Secret Wars is going to be the wrap up of the thing. Sorry.
Right. Secret Wars is end of phase.
Mea culpa. Yes. Secret Invasion is the only correct answer.
Secret Invasion looks great. So Marvel dropped 2 trailers, right? They dropped Secret Invasion and they dropped Werewolf by Night. Werewolf by Night is what I'm very excited for. Let's start with Secret Invasion, though, because, Josh is absolutely right. This is probably the biggest announcement they made at D23, the biggest thing that they showed at D23.
It's the shut up. It's the shut up to anybody complaining about anything. It's what they did, Marvel, collectively, was they whipped it out and flopped it onto the table and said, everybody shut up.
Yeah.
You remember we know how to do this. Everybody shut up.
You have your 5 points back for telling those naysayers for Phase 4 to shut up.
Well, I mean, if you watched the event, or even if you saw them roll out, just the clip of them rolling out the Secret Invasion trailer at the event, the level of applause was the same as opening night in Endgame applause. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was big.
Yeah.
It was huge. The reaction to everybody reappearing. Oh, spoilers. Sorry. The
I
reaction
already gave
to
the spoiler
everybody
warning. You're good.
coming back through the fire holes was, I mean, so cool. So cool. Nick Fury, give me all the Secret Invasion right now.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I loved Ben Mendelsohn in general, but I loved him in Captain
Yeah.
Marvel.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see him take on a larger role, and it looks like it's going to be like all out, kind of. It looks like an alien espionage, right? Like, which is what Secret Invasion is supposed to be, right? Skrulls are secretly trying to take over the world, and Nick Fury is the only one who knows about it. So I'm interested in, okay, how long has Nick Fury been underground? Has he been underground since Winter Soldier? Or has he been underground? Did he pop up for Iron Man's funeral? Was that a Skrull at Iron Man's funeral? Like, we know it was a Skrull in Far From Home, so that's not outside the realm of possibilities, right? So, like, I'm interested in that. I'm interested to see how Emilia Clarke is going to fit into all of this. Seeing her and her role in this whole thing makes me excited.
Yeah, I did a double take. I was like, who is that lady? That's a what? Okay, Khaleesi's in this. All right. I was happy with that.
Emilia Clarke, she has yet to be named, right? Like, if you go into IMDb,
Really?
she's the only person who doesn't have "this is who that is," and I have a feeling she's going to be a big deal, right? Like, there's a couple other people who haven't gotten their characters released, right? But like, Emilia Clarke's a kind of a big deal, and it was really cool to see Martin Freeman again, right? And like,
She's not
Yeah.
a big deal.
She's not. We had this argument before where I questioned her movie choices and Brian came to her defense.
I'm not saying the actress is a big deal. I think the fact that you get someone off of something like Game of Thrones and then you don't even say, hey, she's playing this person.
Are you like, do you watch everything Sean Bean does too, or?
I do, actually.
'Cause it's-
Sean Bean's a wonderful actor.
Well, that's a mistake.
One does not simply watch a few Sean Bean things.
Yeah, look.
First off, Josh, to watch every Sean Bean film is really only watching the first 10 to 20 minutes of 30 different films. Because he always dies.
he's in any
in a
movie
lot
that
of
he's the
stuff.
main, that he's like the driving force. You're like, oh, this is gonna be the worst movie ever. But like, look, unless it's actually Daenerys Targaryen joining the MCU, probably it's not.
I'm not saying, again, let me reiterate. I'm not saying, ooh, Emilia Clarke, she's a big deal. I'm saying the fact that she is the only cast member who has not had a character accredited to her
Correct.
is a big deal. The character she's playing could be a big deal. I'm not saying I don't know who she's playing. As far as I know, they haven't said anything about it. They don't mention it in the trailer. I don't know who she's playing,
She's
and that
just be
intrigues
one of those
me.
random gold people.
You know what? If she's a random SHIELD agent, that's fine.
No, not
I'll
Shield
be
agent.
disappointed. But
One of the gold people.
The people from Guardians with Adam
Guardians,
Warlock.
yeah.
I don't think so. I think her character is going to be a bigger deal moving forward. I'm interested. That's all I'm saying is I'm interested.
Maybe
I'm
she's
also-
a Zygon.
I'm also looking forward to seeing Shield. Like, I think this is going to be the reformation of Shield, because that's what it was in the comic books as well. This is going to be the Samuel L. Jackson is getting the band back together, and at the end of this, we'll have a new Shield that can kind of be the driving force for Phase 5, 6, and
If he's
so
getting
on.
the band back together, right, he's bringing in some new people because he's been in space for at least, right, we can guarantee at least since Spider-Man Far From Home, right? We know he's in space during the end of
For
that
at
movie, so I
least
want to
that.
know who he brought with him. One does not simply go into space and not come back with an army of really cool things.
I do want you to remember, Far From Home takes place a lot later in the timeline than you think it does.
Yes, but he's been in
Even
space
though
for
it
a
got
while.
released sooner. I think he's been in space even well before that.
Maybe
So-
he brings back some black goo.
I think that's too much.
I know. I'm just
And,
hopeful.
and plus,
And Sony. Blah,
let's
blah,
not
blah. All right,
talk
right,
about
right,
the
right.
business end of things with the thing with Sony and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That nobody understands what their deal is, so who knows what that entails.
So, Josh, you're not that excited for Miss Emilia Clarke. So, who are you excited, or what are you excited about the most with Secret Invasion, besides the fact that Samuel L. Jackson is freaking awesome and he's like helming the show?
The entire story. They didn't tell us
They didn't tell us nothing.
anything, right? But they gave me enough to go, I have no idea what's going to happen, but it looks amazing, and I want it. I can't, that's it. The trailer achieved exactly what they wanted it to achieve.
Right.
It
Got
looked
you excited.
unbelievably good, and I have no idea why.
Well,
Seriously.
you have to wait 7 months or something like that.
Well, no, but isn't that like
That's what you want.
exactly what a great trailer does?
Yep.
Right? And I'll take this back. Like the last time I was this excited and had no idea was maybe the Baby Driver 3-minute
Yes.
clip.
Yeah,
Right?
okay.
I have no idea what this is going to be about, except this guy's a driver and the music's dope, but like, damn, was that cool.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see the movie. Like, that's the last time I was this excited, having only seen a trailer and no other idea what this is about, except I know this guy's a getaway driver, right?
I know you're probably fishing for it, but 5 points for mentioning Baby Driver because you know I love Baby Driver.
I wasn't fishing.
Well, congratulations. You caught it. You caught a carp.
Legitimately, that's how I feel about it. And like, I can't, so few trailers are made this well,
Right.
that achieve their purpose without like leaking some shit that they shouldn't leak, right? Like giving you too much. So many trailers just give away the store. This one did not.
Right.
I want to
And
talk.
Marvel's normally good at that, right? At least for their
Yeah.
first trailers. If you and Marvel's usually good at like, we're not going to give away the farm, or we're going to give away stuff, but not what you think, or we're going to CGI this thing so that it's something that you don't know what it's actually going to be.
Yeah,
So,
or
I mean-
we're going to put this in the trailer and never do it. And they're like, oh, okay, it was just there to
that's
keep you
part for the
hyped.
course for trailers, right? We've talked about that. That happens all the time with trailers. 9 times out of 10, because the people cutting the trailer are not the people who are editing the movie, so they don't know. But Secret Invasion looks great. I do want your opinions on if you're going to watch this at all, because I know you both are not super horror people. I'm really excited for Werewolf by Night, and what makes me excited is not just the concept, but well, it is the concept. They're doing this in terms of an old Universal monster movie. And that makes me really excited. The old Bram Stoker's Dracula, Bela Lugosi stuff, like that stuff is still great. And I'm really interested to see what they do with this, but like put it like a Marvel twist on it. But what are your guys' thoughts?
Well, but before we dive into that, there was a special designation to this movie that this is a Marvel Studios special presentation, right? Which
Right.
is the same designation that they're giving to the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special, right? And James Gunn came in and said that this designation, right? It's still within the MCU, but it's a special. It's not a series. It's not a movie. But it is within the MCU universe. I don't know if that means that it's canon or what, but cool,
That's
whatever.
exactly means
I'll
it's
take it.
canon. It's
Great.
canon.
But what I do like the fact that they're putting in this special thing, so you kind of know, hey, like this is a little outside the realm of what we normally do, and the tone on this, like, all right, this ends with a woman just huddled on the cage, right, while the shadow of a werewolf starts forming after it looks like it's beating somebody up, and then they show the Disney logo afterward, and you're like, what? What is this? All the time that we talked about, hard stuff or scary stuff or spooky or the off-brand Disney things. Hey, maybe it'll go to Hulu or maybe it'll go somewhere else. It won't be on Disney Plus. They're just like, nah, man, we got it. Right, here it is. So this looks spooky. This is definitely in that Halloween theme. I am not a big fan of the genre. However, this looks really fun in the sense of like this has a unique flair. It's got an aesthetic to it that is not just run-of-the-mill crap. It's not Blumhouse, so I'll actually give this a watch. I think this is going to be. I think this is pretty entertaining.
Yeah, I don't. All right, so I don't want to be categorized as like a horror hater. I hate jump scares and I hate badly made movies. And very much of horror fits into those two categories.
Sure. I'll give that to you.
Like blood, guts, and gore for the sake of blood, guts, and gore is dumb. However, I love thrillers. I love thrillers that verge on horror and werewolf, vampire stuff. Love that. I don't consider that horror at all. So Wolf by Night, yeah, I'm in. I love a werewolf story, and I don't like, sign me up. It's fine. All the, even like some of the Halloween movies are good, especially Rob Zombie's. But I'm not going to say I'm against horror, and I'm certainly not against some of the newer thriller type horror stuff that's come out recently. So yeah, this is fine, and I don't really care what they do with it. I would be thrilled if it becomes a, spooky monster universe type thing. That'd be great. Especially if they do more, vampire stuff.
Well, they will with Blade, right?
Yeah, Blade's coming.
Yeah, no, I know, I get
But
that.
you're talking
Just,
kind of vampire.
Yeah,
Right.
so like if you haven't watched, and I'm just gonna split really quickly from the topic at hand and say, if you haven't watched Dracula on Netflix by the same people that did Sherlock, Mark Gatiss, Stephen Moffat, you need to watch Dracula. It's unbelievably good.
Well, before we end with that, there are a couple other things that need to be mentioned that they had announced, right? They officially announced Captain America New World Order, but what's most interesting about it is that Tim Blake Nelson is coming back as the leader. He played the leader in Incredible Hulk. And it's really nice to kind of start seeing them embrace that movie. Whereas for most of the MCU, they've like, let's just pretend it never happened.
Well, they've been doing that in She-Hulk too, right? In She-Hulk, they started to throw that stuff back in.
In She-Hulk, they made
It's Tim Roth.
She-Hulk.
They literally
obviously Tim Roth is
acknowledged I was a different person.
They literally acknowledged Edward
it.
Norton. Not like Edward Norton, but they acknowledged that someone else played Bruce. Like again, they're having some fun with that over on She-Hulk. But my point is, it is nice to see them start embracing this in terms of this is a part of the MCU, not just a throwaway line because that was under a different studio with a different guy, and we don't want to go down that road. They did show the trailer for the Marvels. They did not do a mass release of it yet, but all of the feedback has been nothing but fantastic. Very excited for that. And then, they talked about Ironheart. They also said Armor Wars is going to see Don Cheadle come back. It's Don Cheadle's last outing as Rhodey.
I was going to say, he's not under contract anymore, he said.
He is officially done unless they scaff him up again. So just a couple little, little key pinpoints. They also showed Echo. They showed a trailer for Echo, which got people excited. And then, yes, they did announce, here are the Thunderbolts. Here are the lineup for the Thunderbolts, right? And so CJ, I know you want to talk about that, so I'll put it back over to you.
Well, I just I initially saw it, and all I saw were villain, or people that are aligning themselves now to people that are on the wrong side, because that's just kind of what I got the vibe. And then I saw Sam Wilson, not Sam Wilson, Jesus,
Sebastian Stan.
Then I saw Bucky Barnes, right?
Yeah.
Sebastian Stan. And I'm just like, everybody in there is ethically gray, right? Very gray brush and being manipulated by Valentina, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Bucky Barnes shows up, and I'm like, I thought we got past this with Bucky, that he would be good. And then Brian, you gave me a good analogy as to why is Bucky Barnes in this, and you related it to another movie.
Okay, so two things. I mean, Bucky is always going to be morally gray. I mean, that's just his personality. It is. He's not Captain America.
Right.
And even in the comic books, they put him in the Captain America suit for a year specifically to show why he's not Steve.
Right.
So he's always going to be morally gray. He's always going to be okay with more than what Steve was ever okay with. So he fits right in. He's led the Thunderbolts in the comic book before. But, I mean, again, we're talking about a group of people who do need a leader, who do need someone who's going to wrangle them in. And I made the analogy that he's the Rick Flag of the group. If this is the quote-unquote Suicide Squad, which is the Suicide Squad being a group of villains doing maybe more positive things, Bucky is your Rick Flag. Bucky is, hey, I've done this before. I'm going to keep you all in line. Here we go. We have a mission. Let's go and enact it. Because you can't have, I mean, I'm sure it's going to be a partnership with Yelena. I'm sure Yelena is going to be more of a moral compass as well.
Yeah.
But Yelena is not there yet. She's not a hero, quote unquote.
Oh.
She's still reeling from the loss of Nat. So I think she's a great addition. And I think something I didn't say to you, I think this is their way of in the original vision of the Thunderbolts, I'm sure William Hurt was a part of it because his character Thunderbolt Ross becomes a red version of the Hulk, and he does have his own version of the Thunderbolt.
Reason there's a name, right?
What's that?
Isn't that like part of the reason that they're called the Thunderbolts?
No.
No? Oh, all right.
No.
I thought they would.
Unfortunately, he passed. We can't have him as a part of this group. And instead of recasting or redoing, we have a perfectly good character who is also well established, who can serve the same function. Let's utilize him. I think that's part of it as well.
Makes sense. That's going to hit theaters in July of 2024. Some of this stuff is so far away. I got so used to getting Marvel movies like so quickly that now that there's a gap, and the Disney Plus stuff is filling the void. I just miss going to the movies and seeing a Marvel movie. When's the next one? Is it Quantumanium? Is that the
next movie? I believe is Quantumanium. Sometime.
I thought there was one in November.
Black Panther's November, but
Black Panther. Oh, Wakanda Forever is November. Yeah,
is that first? Oh, okay. Good.
Wakanda Forever is November, and then
all right, and then Ant-Man and the Wasp is in February. Okay, cool. So, all right. Oh man, everything that they were talking about, and all the footage, and all the stuff that we see for Wakanda Forever, has just been giving me the chills, and just giving other people just like a really emotional response. I cannot wait to see this movie. I'm excited for it.
I will ask you to just keep your review to yourself because I probably won't be able to see it over again.
Right. Any closing thoughts or anything else that we have for Marvel from D23?
No, I think that's it. I'm not going to lump it. Honestly, Star Wars, they didn't announce a ton. They showed a new trailer for Mandalorian. They showed a trailer for their new Tales of the Jedi series. We got a little bit more about the Skeleton Crew and what Jude Law is going to be doing in the Skeleton Crew. So
shepherding younglings around the galaxy.
Shepherding younglings, yes. It killed younglings.
He gets to be in the MCU and he gets to be in Star Wars. That lucky bastard.
Well, he's also going to be Captain Hook in Peter Pan and Wendy, if I recall correctly.
But he gets the same honor that Samuel L. Jackson gets, right? He gets to be in both of those franchises. It's a limited club that gets to bounce back and forth. By the way, Brian, you didn't let me award points at the end of the Marvel category, so if you would be so kind, $1 for $1. Jesus, that'd be great.
I'll buy that for $1.
1 point for explaining the Thunderbolts to me, because it's the right thing. And then, Josh, you were indeed, in fact, more correct. I'm going to give you an additional 2 points for picking the correct topic, and I was indeed wrong.
Why, thank you.
So as far as the rest of D23, like a lot of stuff came out. So I don't want to go down the list, but let's kind of talk about some of the things that, were interesting or got us excited. I mean, I will start with something that is not movie related at all. And we can jump back into the movies later because there is plenty to talk about with Disney Plus and Disney and stuff like that. But they announced a new ride for the Avengers Campus in Disneyland. Did you guys see this?
No.
So the whole concept of this new ride is that you are going to enter the multiverse and you're going to end up in a universe where Thanos won. And he won at the end of Endgame and he becomes King Thanos, and you are going to help the Avengers and across multiple realities take down King Thor. And I just think that's very cool and interesting. And I love the fact that we have a place where I don't know how much research you guys have done into Avengers Campus, but they're going very hard to try and not just, here's a ride about the movie, but make a experience that integrates into the MCU.
Right.
So like things that are going on in there also, could technically be considered canon if you really want to go that far, but also like, character meet and greets and stuff like that. Those things don't happen until like the movie drops. So for example, when Multiverse of Madness came out, America showed up in Avengers Campus.
Yeah, I saw that.
Wanda showed up in Avengers Campus when WandaVision came out. We now have a zombie Captain America that only shows up around Halloween, so he's there right now. When What If came out, right? Like, things like that.
Right.
I am so intrigued by this park, and it sucks because we're on the East Coast and I really want to go. But, like, it really is interesting to me how they're playing with a multimedia platform, right? Like now you got an MCU, you got the movies, you got television shows that line up with the movies and integrate with the movies. You have a theme park that also dabbles in that, and live action experiences and live action meet and greets that dabble in that. And I just think this being the latest is really cool and really interesting. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that, but I just wanted to use this platform to say, good on you, MCU.
Yeah, listen, it's a smart business move in the sense of once you go to a vendor's campus, right, and you basically do the things, like, what's the reason to come back besides, oh, I love Marvel stuff? Like, hey, a rotating cast of characters, let's put things seasonality, hey, let's link it to the movie so you get done watching a movie, like, you know what, it would be really cool if Ant-Man was, walking around a vendor's campus with a new thing that he just got in Quantumanium, and boom, there he is, right? So
Right.
like it gives you a good reason to come back, and then it makes us for multitude of reasons be very angry that we are on the East Coast and not on the West Coast, that we can just hop on over and see the cool stuff. I think it's just a smart business move to keep them excited.
I'm not going to ask Josh's opinion because I know his opinion on Disney World in general. So moving.
Yeah,
on.
look, I think it's great to introduce people who would maybe be more in it for the theme park experience and maybe not so much in it for the MCU, and it might get them more involved in the sort of outer limits of the MCU. And that's a cool thing. But like, I don't know, it's stupid theme parks. No.
Hot people,
All right,
stupid lines.
What out of the rest of the? Because it was a 2-day showcase. And Marvel was only a couple hours of it. So what stands out to you guys? I feel like I'm doing most of the talking here. I feel like I'm hosting the show this week, but I'm not. So what stood out to you guys?
There's just so much Star Wars here. Like, why is there so much Star Wars? Who's asking for all of this Star Wars?
All those
Wars
toxic fans are.
All of those, because they want to be shitty about all the Star Wars.
They want to
stuff.
just shit on
my
everything.
God, it's just so much. Here's the thing. Like, honestly, I don't care about. You said Marvel was 10%, right?
I said a couple hours, but
How much of it was Marvel, would you say?
I would say more than 10%, maybe about 15, 20.
15?
Yeah.
20? How much of it was Pixar?
Pixar did not have a lot this year.
Yeah,
It
well, so
really
like-
had like maybe 2 or 3 announcements for Pixar.
Okay, so 5%?
Maybe, so look, to break it really down, you have maybe like 2 or 3 announcements from Pixar, 1 from 20th Century Fox Studios, which I don't care about. You had about
I'm sorry,
4 or
you didn't
5
care about the Avatar news there, Brian?
4 or
Total
5
shocker.
announcements in their video game franchise, 4 or 5 from their theme parks. The brunt of it was Disney Plus, which you had like, I don't know, maybe 12 announcements between Disney Plus and Disney Live Action. And Lucasfilm, because they don't just do Star Wars, they do Lucasfilm. Lucasfilm had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Too many. Too many.
And
Yeah.
8 of them were Star Wars, and then you had about 10 Marvel announcements.
I care about Marvel. I care about Pixar. I care about Avatar just far enough to piss Brian off, and that's it. Everything else, I mean, listen. I am so okay. I'm just gonna Star Wars for me, same as DC.
You got the
They're
Star
just-
Wars.
Whoa.
Misfire after misfire after misfire, and I give it a watch. I have not watched a single Star Wars thing a second time. I have not finished a single Star Wars story series. But like all the new movies, I've only watched once. All the series, haven't got past a couple episodes. Don't care. They're not good. And
All right, I'll fight you on Mandalorian.
I've watched all. Okay, The Mandalorian is a cool Western story.
Yep. With space.
But like that's it. And beyond that, I don't care.
That's what I want.
And
Timothy Olyphant, right?
And I have rewatched like all the DC stuff, and I will continue to, but not the Star. It's just so awful. It's like the movies are so awful.
2 points for liking Avatar, just enough to make Brian mad. I would like to put that on a T-shirt somewhere. So 2 points for that. But boo, that is a bold hot take. But as you're laying it out, Josh, I mean, you're not entirely
He ain't
wrong.
wrong, guys. He ain't lying.
It's a hot take, but I don't. Yeah, I don't blame you for it.
Like you're not entirely wrong, but like I also can't say I agree, but also I can't find a lot of flaws in what you're saying.
So here's the thing about Star Wars, and here's where I will disagree.
What do you have to get about Star Wars? Is this not that?
I get where you're coming from. Where I don't agree is that it's all trash. I think what you're responding to, and you have a more visceral reaction to this
to everything
than anything.
Everything.
But here's the thing, Josh. For our listeners who don't know Josh personally, Josh, and you tell me if I'm wrong. When you love a thing, you love a thing, like
yes,
full-heartedly, and when you hate it, you hate it. But what you cannot stand is mediocrity, and that's where Star Wars lives right now.
Really, because listen, episodes 4, 5, and 6 were such a big part of my youth, and I was so excited for the prequels, and I liked the prequels, even the Anakin and Padme story, which was the worst part of the prequels, even that I liked. And they completely ruined them with these sequels. That so much so that I can't even go back and watch A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi because I know it's going nowhere. Like, I can't even watch they've ruined that part of my childhood.
I think you're watching them wrong. If that's the case, I'm not going to lie.
That's an Apple response.
I think, well, I mean, here's the thing. Get your mom an iPhone, Josh. God.
1 point for the timely reference.
Thanks. I think you need to watch the movies in capsules, right? You got 1, 2, 3, you got 4, 5, 6 is one story, 1, 2, 3 is one story, 7, 8, 9 is one story. Just like you would a comic book, right? Just like you would Marvel. I've
heard you argue that they are all the Skywalker story.
I have, but just because, listen, I have 700 issues of Spider-Man there, and that's not all one story. There is stories inside of that character arc, right? I would argue the same thing about the Skywalker quote-unquote saga. But what I will say is I don't blame you. I'm just making the argument to not let the shit that was half of 8 and 9 taint all the good that 4, 5, and 6 is. And again, you have a visceral response, and I agree with you. Star Wars is mediocre right now. The highs are not as high, and the lows are not definitely as low. There's still some trash in there, right? But like, it's what I'm calling the Solo effect. Solo came out, we all saw it, we talked about it, we said it was all right, it was fine, and then we all promptly forgot it exists. And that's everything that Star Wars is doing right now. There's nothing that gets you really excited, really amped up, makes you really love anything with you. And again, I'll fight you on Mandalorian.
I said Mando and Ahsoka are the only two that I'm like stoked about. Like, yeah, I think Mandalorian
is Star Wars done right.
Yes.
Right. Can't say much about Ahsoka right now because we don't have it yet. I think if you gave the Clone Wars a shot, you'd feel that way too. I think the Clone Wars series is Star Wars done right as well. But the rest, you watch it, it's fine. You forget it exists. I enjoyed what I saw of Obi-Wan. I'm never going to watch it again.
I did not.
Just never going to watch it again. There's some trash. There's some really bad stuff in there that I definitely would say, oh, that wasn't good. There was some good stuff in there too. And that's the problem with Star Wars right now.
Do we need Andor? Like, do we need that series?
No one wants Andor. No. Out of all of those characters from Rogue One, Cassian Andor is the very last one that I care about at all. Like, and you know what? Rogue One was a great movie. I wouldn't say great. It was good. It was highly enjoyable. It was a story I didn't need. I didn't need to see that story, but if I have it, it was fun. It was enjoyable. I knew everyone was going to die at the end. That's just the fate of those characters, right? Otherwise, Jyn Erso would show up again, right? But that tells you exactly what Star Wars' problem is we continue to tell stories set in this 40-year time span that we don't need. We don't need Andor. We don't need to know anything about what's going on in between episodes 5 and 6 or what have you. Just tell new stories. Like, again, and we've talked about this. I've made this argument, right? This is why I'm so pissed off about the way Rey turned out, because there was promise there, and then we just walked it back. Just
time to sit Kathleen Kennedy down and be like, so hi. I think it's time to tell you. Hi. I think it's time. See the door that's right there? You should just go through. If you don't mind. There's a Sarlacc pit down there, so enjoy your stay. Bye.
I can blame her, but she's not the only one.
If the MCU started taking a shit right now, right?
We would all blame Kevin Feige because...
No, there's no double standard. Then we blame Kathleen Kennedy.
No, here's the thing. There is a very big difference between Kathleen Kennedy and Kevin Feige. Like, it just is. Kevin Feige is way more creative force. We have put him up there as the creative force behind Marvel. He is advertised as that. He is the architect of the MCU. That's their language, not ours.
Who has to sign off on any of these series? Who's the person who has to say, yep?
Listen, dude, a producer's job is not what Kevin Feige does. Kevin Feige is a super producer. He is a completely different animal. Kathleen Kennedy is doing a producer's job. Jon Favreau comes to her and says, hey, here's my idea for a Star Wars story. And she signs off on it. That's it. She is not involved in the creative process.
She is the president of Lucasfilm. She's not just a producer. She is the president of Lucasfilm.
I don't think it's the right call, but I don't think I don't think she's as much a creative force as Feige is. So you can't compare apples and oranges.
Josh, I need your ruling on this one. She's the president of Lucasfilm. Is she not responsible for this at the end of the day?
So what Brian's saying is valid in really from both points of view, right? Which is an odd hedge, but it's 100% right in that the MCU product is so complex with so many moving parts that not a mere mortal producer could do that.
Yes, he wears the Infinity Gauntlet while he writes.
It just can't. It can't be. It has to be someone who is like so entrenched in how comic book story arcs work that no one else could possibly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Only that kind of person could do it. And a couple things to add to that. What a phenomenal risk that was taken. To make that a reality, because it could have been historically bad.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yep.
Now, on the flip side of that,
could have been the DCEU.
Everybody thinks that because Star Wars is such a piece of Americana, that if we put Star Wars out there, it's going to be automatically successful. And the big mistake is not viewing Star Wars, a trade paperback or a graphic novel, and treating it like a comic book story arc. Mm-hmm. That's why Brian's argument works both ways. Right? Because she is signing off, right? And she shouldn't be, because she's not capable of identifying what her product is. She doesn't know what she's selling.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Brian said. Brian, if I'm wrong, please tell me I'm
you're
wrong,
absolutely
but I think
right.
that's what you're saying.
And Josh, while I have a moment to speak here, I'm going to give you 3 points the next time I host for saying I'm 100% correct.
Hold on. I was just going to give you, Brian, 4 points for being right about Kathleen Kennedy, and then giving Josh 2 points for explaining it correctly to me.
Excellent.
Well, he's making two simultaneous arguments,
Yes.
and both of them are spot on. I just think we have to. Brian didn't say it this episode, but he said it a few episodes ago, which was she doesn't even know what she has. Like she doesn't understand the product. That's
You'll never love Star Wars the way that I love Star Wars.
It's not about.
No,
you know what? Here's the thing. It's not about that. It's not about.
No, I just didn't want to be the
Marvel-
crazy ex-girlfriend who's just sitting there going, I treated him better than you did.
The Marvel thing, right? The business decision that went into like assessing the risk and signing off on this ridiculous storyline really
Right.
had nothing to do with loving or not loving, right? It's like it was a risk, and like, hey, listen, if you take this risk, right, we might lose $400 million. But if you take this risk, we might make $4 billion. What do you want to do?
That's what
and they were like,
Lucasfilm.
okay, well, all right. But I don't mind, 1,001 return on my money. Let's try it. Let's just see what happens. Right. And, they hit crypto in the early days, right? Seriously, that's what they did.
All right, 1 point for the crypto joke.
Yeah.
It was an absolute fucking bonanza. It was a gold strike. Things just don't happen that way.
Yeah.
That you have this untapped story, right? That to most of America and the world is so original because they haven't read anything, right?
Yeah.
That it dwarfs the haters. The haters going, well, that's not canon, and that meh, meh, meh. America's going, we don't give a shit, guy. Like, they knew what they were doing and they did it right, and we're in. And now, unfortunately, your opinion no longer matters.
And
Because we are in, because they did it right. And the flip side of that is what we see from DC and Star Wars collectively.
And what I will say is, the haters you see for the Marvel universe, and I'm just listen. I'm going to make this blanket statement. I know it's not true for everybody individually, right? But I'm making this blanket statement because you have to remember the Marvel universe has been around now since 2008. Like, that is a whole generation of people who the only way they know the product is this, right? To Josh's point, they've probably never read a comic book, or maybe they're just getting into comic books because of this. So the people who are going online and hating it and review bombing things like Captain Marvel are the people who don't understand the character, the universe, the overall picture, or they're just being trolls to be trolls, right? The people who are fully bought into this universe and who are, to Josh's point, along for the ride, who are getting into comic books or who found their love of, of Marvel through these movies, they're not complaining. Like, no. Listen, we're critiquing. We can critique all we want. I just watched Thor: Love and Thunder. I have some thoughts.
Me too.
I mean, I feel like there were things that could have been done better. But
we talked about that movie. We should do that.
We can talk about it.
Yeah, that's not this
now.
episode.
Not this episode. I'm saying that's another episode. We should do that. Yes.
Apply Brian's argument, right, to from Star Wars to DC. This was someone not knowing the product they had, getting too movie about it,
right,
and making it a movie instead of making it a story arc, right? And it's the same exact thing. That's why I can't get behind the Star Wars thing.
And what they both have in common is they care too much about what the quote unquote fans are saying.
Right.
And not
because like the fans know, right?
Right. But the thing is, I would argue, and this is where I was going with the Marvel argument, the fans that are speaking up are not truly fans. They're either being trolls or they're not understanding it because maybe all they know is, hey, the past year of Marvel or the past 5 years or what have you, right? They haven't been bought in for the long haul. And the people who are speaking up about Star Wars are not the people who understand this universe. They're the people who they think they know it and they want to see a certain thing. And so they speak up. The thing is, I make this analogy all the time at work. If I go to a restaurant or if I go to a retail store, and we've all been there, right? And I have a perfectly enjoyable experience. Everything works out fine. I give a good tip. They say, hey, take this survey for me. Tell them how great I did. Here's the survey at the bottom of the receipt. We all throw it away. We don't go online and we don't fill out that survey. We fill out the survey when something is either above and beyond so amazing that it melted my brain, or I'm pissed about something. And it's the same thing with the fans of any IP. Marvel,
Fandom
Star Wars, DC.
Yes.
The only people who are going to spend that time to film that video, to go on that blog, to review bomb something, to say something about it, are those people who are the 15% who have a strong reaction one way or the other. We're all enjoying the Marvel product. We're not going to say too much because we're enjoying it.
Yeah.
Let it ride, you know? And that's where the difference between Marvel and Star Wars and DC. So the answer is not let's sit down Kathleen Kennedy and say time to go away. Yeah, let's sit down Kathleen Kennedy. Let's sit down with
Let's give her a performance review. Right.
Well, let's sit down with her and Favreau and Filoni and say, do what you want to do. Because the beauty of Star Wars is that it can be anything. Try shit out. Be experimental. Do what you want to do and stop listening to the trolls. Because every time you produce something that is shit, it's because you listen to the trolls. We got Book of Boba Fett because we have a swarm of fans who love the costume, not the character. And we got a mediocre series.
Yeah.
We got freaking Rise of Skywalker, which CJ and I were very divided on when it came out. I think we're feeling a little bit more the same now.
Yeah.
We got that because we tried something different. People got pissy about it, the 10%ers, and then we walked it back. Yet there's still 80% of the freaking fan who was like, I was fine with the way things were going. Yeah, I was fine with it too. Yep. You know?
Well, so listeners, anybody who's listening that is trying to sell all of their dad's old knockoff, and you know they're knockoff Nick Fury Shield #1s because they have a white guy with wings on them. So anyone who wants to get rid of those, I'll destroy them for you.
Or you have the Avengers shirts? Yeah, I'll take those.
Yeah, you don't need to throw them away. I will throw them away myself because clearly they're knockoffs. Nick Fury is not an old white guy with gray wings.
Yeah, he also never looked like the guy from Baywatch, which I may have to give a different reference because I don't think anyone who listens to the show knows what Baywatch is.
For those of you who have these knockoff Nick Fury Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. #1s from 1968, super, super cheesy knockoffs, you can ship them to me.
And then again, I once again offer that kind of services to be your movie consultants and producers and creative directors, whatever you need us to do. We'll
I will
help
happily sit down with Kathleen Kennedy, Jon Favreau, and Dave Filoni.
What are the odds? What campaign can we start to get you 15 minutes with Kathleen Kennedy?
Billion. There is not a number that describes those odds. Are you kidding me?
You and CJ can sit in at the table and talk about it.
I'm not allowed to talk.
Jon Favreau and I will listen from the kitchen while we cook.
Yeah, okay, you guys have chef. Yeah. All right. I want to do a couple rapid fires, and then I have a change my mind for this episode because the points are really close. So is there anything else that we want to talk about from Disney live action or anything like that?
No, I think it's worth mentioning.
You sir are about to hit time, so you get to.
I'm sorry. You bring up these topics.
I get
passionate.
I'm asking if there's anything you want to talk about that isn't from these categories. You get to pick one thing, Brian.
I'm just saying I think it's worthy of mentioning. We've got a glimpse at the new Little Mermaid, which looks fine. We got an announcement of a new remake of Peter Pan and Wendy. I do want to mention we got something else that no one asked for.
Nope. I think I know what you're saying, and that's to change my mind.
Okay.
Does it involve a certain lion?
Yes.
Yep, that's my change my mind. Be quiet.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I won't. Okay. Something else. Something else that no one asked for is the Santa Clauses miniseries.
Yes, please stop. Before we started recording, I looked at Josh and I said, "Can we please just stop? Like, we're good. We've got 2. There are only 2 Santa Claus movies. There are only 2.
I don't even care for the second one. There
are
not
9 seasons of Scrubs, and there are only 2 Santa Claus movies, and they're fine. Leave them alone. I don't need any more.
But don't you need to see Peyton Manning try to be Santa Claus?
Shut up. What I do want is
he plays sports ball real good, CJ.
And his forehead is as big as the helmet. And
he throws the pigskin.
And he does wonderful commercials
with the rabbit's foot.
What I was excited for was Percy Jackson and the Olympians. I think Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief was a good movie, and then the series kind of died, and yada yada. This is fun. It's also like they fixed things. It's more accurate to like what's happening, and I'm reading the books, and I'm actually really excited about this.
Yeah,
same thing with National Treasure.
I was going to say I want to give Josh his moment because I know he was excited for National Treasure, and we finally got a trailer at D23.
We've already talked about it. I'm
right.
good. I don't need.
Then, Disenchanted was the final thing. I'm excited for that. Give me that movie. That's coming out soon. I must has. Okay, so change my mind. Josh had a wonderful idea for this topic, and I think this should be a little bit more
Inside
recurring.
Out 2 got announced as well, which is exciting.
Yep.
All right. So, change my mind. A wonderful segment that was introduced by Josh Burns, which I think we should incorporate in our show a little bit more. And this one's pretty legitimate, which is Brian and Josh. Change my mind. Josh, we don't need another Mufasa. We don't need this Mufasa prequel movie. We don't need it. Brian, hell yes we do.
Oh my God, you're gonna really, because you heard what I said about it.
If you would have just...
Well, Josh, go first.
We know nothing of the plot, right? We know nothing of the plot. We know nothing of the movie. I don't even think we have casting. Do we have casting?
Yeah, look, I without getting into how dearly everybody regards the Lion King, how fond we are all of the Lion King, and just talking about it from a I guess, a practical sense, I think that the animated Lion King movie introduced everything you need to know about the relationship between Mufasa and Scar. Everything you need to know about Mufasa as a leader, right? We understood all his ideals, all his values, some of his flaws, and like it's kind of enough said. Like to do any more with Mufasa's character is diluting like the potency, the strength of the character itself gets muddy if you screw around with it. Like, and here's the other thing. Is there any way to do this movie other than like another Hakuna Matata scene? I'm not ready to be a butt. You know, like, is there another way to do it? And if so, really, is there? And just he was, it's either that or like he was a shitty big brother, like Thor to Loki kind of thing. Like, you know, Scar always in the shadow. The story's been done 1 trillion times. I don't know if I can watch it again, even if it is a lion.
Brian,
My whole
5 points are on the line, good sir. Why do we need the Mufasa movie?
So, CJ, if I say the word Taka, do you know what I speak of?
I would assume a delicious chip.
No. Taka, if you actually go into like the script notes for Lion King, you start learning a little bit more about Scar and Scar's backstory. And Taka was a nickname that Scar had. You know what Taka means?
It
means
sounds
trash.
like poop. Oh,
It means trash. Because Scar is not Scar's name. Scar is the name that he adopted because he had a scar. All right. I venture to guess that this movie is not only going to give us a backstory about Mufasa, but the relationship between Mufasa and his brother, who he will call Taka. And we're going to see not a I'm not ready to be king. We're going to see the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air being I'm hot shit, I'm ready to be king. And we're going to watch a Mufasa be humbled. And a relationship between his brother break down. I want to see Mufasa and Scar when they were on good terms. I want to see that relationship deteriorate and why that is the way it is. How do you hate your brother so much that you're ready to kill him? I mean,
first Thor movie.
I think we all love the first Thor movie, do we not? Thank you, Josh. You got there before I did. This is Thor. This is the I'm not worthy. I think I'm great. I need to learn a lesson. And who wouldn't want to see Thor with lions? I mean, I think it's a wonderful idea, and I'm ready to dive into the enriching backstory of these two lions. End scene.
Well, good sir. I am. You know what? After you spoke, I am going to award you, Brian Thornton, 1 point for trying, but 5 points for Josh for not, right.
Because nobody wants it. This
my
is
mind does not change.
Stupid idea. It's a stupid idea. And you know why it's a stupid idea? Because yes, The Lion King made millions and billions of dollars when we did it in CGI because it's The Lion King.
So when
we all left that theater saying that was not good. Do you want to watch the good one? Let's go home and watch the good one. Like
right. So
come
here's what I found. Right. Here's what I found about Mufasa. Mufasa, the Lion King, will tell the story of Simba's father, who was orphaned as a lion cub. The origin story will be told in 2 time frames by Rafiki and Timon and Pumbaa. It's going to be told by two
that's another thing.
different ways.
How could they possibly tell the story? Timon and Pumbaa.
Because history is written by the winners, Josh.
Watch Lion King 1.5. They were there the whole time.
Wouldn't you have Zazu tell the story?
That would make sense now, wouldn't it, Josh?
Stop applying logic to the situation.
But you don't understand. No one likes Zazu. He's uppity and British. We like Timon and Pumbaa. They're
what we're
buddies
gonna do instead is we're gonna bring in Iago from Aladdin and have a Gilbert Gottfried impersonator tell the story.
You know what? I have an even better idea.
Iago.
Let's have Iago show up and then not say anything. Wait, we
He's
did
just
that.
in the background.
We did that.
Yeah.
It's called Aladdin with Will Smith as the genie.
Yeah. All right. So obviously a lot from D23. You want a lot of hot takes, but good defenses as to what we were talking about. So now it is my obligation, their duty as your host to look at duty to look at the points and to award this week's winner. And looking at the scoreboard after the change my mind, which was the tip of the scale, Joshua Burns wins this week's episode with 17 points. Brian Thornton with 12.
Yep. Yeah, that sounds about right.
So
Cool.
Josh will be the host for the next episode. Brian, this was great. Your Kathleen Kennedy explanation was spot on. But then, as you said, you even awarded him extra points.
I had a great explanation on Star Wars. I had a great moment with Marvel.
I even took away 5 points for Brian.
I brought the whole topic.
Hey, I took away
for
Josh
an hour.
5 points for being smug.
Of which of that hour I talked at least 45 minutes of it.
Well, that was part of the reason.
But this all makes sense. This all makes sense. It's fine. Fine.
This is Brian's origin story, right? For his villain story, right? This is the prequel, right? This is what we get.
Josh. Well fought and won and favored by CJ as always.
Good.
And I look forward to hearing your topic next week.
Yes, indeed.
All right. Well, thank you, listeners, so much for making us your walk around your neighborhood, your drive to work, whatever it is we are in your life. If you would like to share your thoughts on any of the topics that we discussed, you can go to thatkindofnerd.com, leave a comment on the page, or you can call or text us at 484-373-4119, and be sure to check the show notes for other ways to get a hold of us. But thank you so much, and we will see you on the next episode.
Well, welcome to the club, 'cause you are that kind of nerd.
Who's that lady? Who's that lady?
It would be great if your mechanical keyboard wasn't clickety-clacking while you were doing that. I would keep it in the show.
Oh, I'll clickety-clack all the live long day. Clickety-clack, clack, clack.
I feel like you guys are forgetting that I'm giving out the points this week.
I did not forget.
Well, you don't. What you have to understand about Josh, you gotta get Josh. Don, are you in love with Josh? All while they play Massive Attack in the background.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brian. We're just having a West Wing moment. I just watched that.
What were you quoting?
It was the West Wing.
It's a West Wing moment.
Yeah.
There we go.
Go ahead, Brian.